Thank you for listening to stories at Pink Meow Meow Audio. Hope you enjoyed the story. In the middle of the night, I saw a model with 8 packs. I wanted to send it to my best friend to show off, but unexpectedly, I sent it straight to her cold and abstinent uncle. The model is so handsome, his abs are so sexy, I want to lick them even on screen. Sent. Sleepiness came. I yawned, threw my phone aside, and went to sleep, completely unaware that my image of a cute, obedient little white rabbit had collapsed. The little uncle abstained from sex for many years. His lust exploded. He smoked all night, couldn't sleep. 4 a.m. sent me hundreds of wet photos of himself with a message saying he showered. If he wants to lick, he doesn't need to go through the screen anymore. I woke up and saw the WeChat icon flashing with 99 messages. I clicked to see. Oh my God, the sky and earth are falling down. I just want to find a wall and bang my head against it to die. The more I think, the more I die. Because just last night while eating dinner, my friend innocently told his uncle that I had a thin face and was easily embarrassed, like a little white rabbit that would blush if teased. I swear I have never been so humiliated in my life. Because I've been busy studying for exams these past few days, today is Saturday. Without an alarm clock, I slept straight through until 10 a.m. Just woke up to see my image turn to dust. Before I could recover, the phone rang again. It's Kai Suong, my best friend. He called me to come to his old house for dinner. My heart is broken. Today is his grandfather's birthday. He knew that I was studying alone in Yendo and was close to Kai Suong, so he liked me very much. Every time I come to her house, I am welcomed like a grandchild. Every summer vacation, I looked for an internship in Yendo, still staying at his uncle's house for several months. Going out to eat with the Key family is also a daily occurrence. In this situation, it is difficult to find an excuse to refuse. But the crisis is worse. Ki Cheng said, his uncle is already waiting in front of the school gate by car. I ruffled my messy hair and desperately got up to wash my face. Since I had no face to meet other people, I decided to disguise myself. Wearing a white, shiny coat, a baseball cap, and a mask covering himself from head to toe as if he had no face to see anyone anymore. That's right. I have no face to see anyone, especially no face to see Kai Van Chu. Getting in the car, I bowed my head, not daring to move or open my mouth. Kai Van Chu leaned closer. I reflexively raised my head. My heart skipped a few beats. Because of wearing a mask, breathing is a bit rapid. I opened my eyes wide to look at him. His face passed by, right next to my lips, which were covered by a mask. I reflexively pursed my lips, and a click sounded in my ear. I breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out he was putting on my seatbelt. His body was still leaning towards me, but he kept his head away. I could clearly see his sharp eyebrows, perfect jawline, and peach blossom eyes so deep that even looking at a dog was full of affection. Along with the mole under his left eye, that cold look was suddenly tinged with a bit of gentle charm. Why cover it up? Are you embarrassed to see me? He said, his voice low and hoarse, each word carrying a hint of ambiguous teasing. I remembered the stupid thing last night. My mind was buzzing. I stammered, I caught a cold and was afraid I would pass it on to my little uncle. After saying that, I deliberately coughed a few times for the sake of formality. Ki Von Shu laughed. His eyes seemed to see everything. I feel like all my disguises are useless in front of you. Thinking back to my first year of college, my flight was delayed. I was almost late for school. I hurriedly dragged my suitcase to the registration point. I wasn't paying attention, so I bumped into him. The force of the collision almost threw me straight into the school fountain, but he hugged my waist and pulled me into his arms. Thanks to that, I escaped the situation of losing face as soon as I entered university. It was the first time I saw these eyes, a look that feels like 1,000 years have passed. Ki Von Chu's voice pulled me back to reality. Turns out Meng Meng likes that style? Damned! Of course I have to try my best to protect my image of a soft and lovely little white rabbit. My Uncle Suong and I are close, so we can talk comfortably. I really didn't mean it. I was so sleepy yesterday, my mind was hazy, so I sent it to the wrong person. He doesn't seem to be going to let me go that easily. So, whether Meng Meng saw the male model's body more beautiful or his uncle's body more beautiful, he leaned closer. I instinctively stepped back, not daring to look straight at him. I have a feeling this person is not right today. This is really very wrong. As the CEO of the Keithy Group, he's so busy that he rarely appears in front of me. Since Kai Suing and I moved into his house, he almost never came home. Is a person with clear boundaries. Except for the times I go home for dinner, I can only see him. But even when meeting face-to-face with Kai Suong, he always kept a cold expression. Very serious, very distant, very much like an elder. Today, he smiled again, and in a way that was very charming, as if he was teasing me. No. I quickly shook my head, trying to dispel the wild thoughts in my mind. I have seen women appear beside him, sexy, gentle, attractive body, every step exudes grace. Standing next to them, they confidently shined. There was no way to hide it. As for me, I am always by Kai Suong's side. In his eyes, I am no different than her. A junior, a younger brother. How could he have romantic feelings for his junior? I tried to swallow down the bitter feeling in my heart and forced a smile. Little uncle definitely has a better figure than a male model. Little auntie's future is truly blessed. Ki Von Shu didn't say anything more. Just gently rubbed my head, then sat up straight, started the car. I tilted my head to look at his face, which was expressionless. But is he angry? Did I say something wrong? The car was halfway across the road when the light turned red. In the short forest, he suddenly asked, "You're about to graduate from college. Do you want to stay in Yandu or go back to Lukcheng?" I still haven't thought it through. My parents, of course, want me to go back to Lukcheng. Ki Cheng also asked this question. I want to stay, but what reason do I have to stay? Looking at the flashing numbers on the traffic light, my heart was in turmoil. Suong said, "Hopefully I stay and open a studio with her." 10, 9, 8, 3, 2, 1. The red light turned green. The car continued to roll. I secretly glanced over. Ki Won Chu's expression didn't change. The road ahead wasn't very clear. There was a minor collision. The cars behind had to stop, waiting for the traffic police to handle it. Ki Cheng was only interested in anything for 3 minutes. If you plan to open a studio with her, you have to be mentally prepared first. He said it very frankly. And it was true. Ki Cheng was the type to follow the wind, doing whatever he liked, but getting excited would get boring easily. I unconsciously clenched and unclenched my hands. I actually still haven't decided. My parents want me to go back to Lukcheng. They said they were not comfortable leaving me alone in Yendo, afraid I would be deceived. Ki Wanchu's light, white hands left the steering wheel. He leaned back in his chair, half closed his eyes, his whole body exuding a lazy, relaxed air. It was the first time I saw him in such a state. He is always strict with himself. Walking, standing, sitting, and lying are all standard and proper, as if he has a measuring stick in his head. But today seems different. Suddenly he turned to look at me, and at that moment, I looked at him. 4 eyes met without warning. I panicked, my face burning. I quickly turned away, bit my lip, bowed my head, and clenched my fingers until they were white. In my blurred vision, I saw him nod slightly. That's right, Meng Meng now is 22 years old and so beautiful, soft, and lovely. Just looking at him made me want to bully him. My heart felt like it was being squeezed by someone, and my breathing was also choked. What do you mean? So is there anyone in Yandu that makes Meng Meng want to stay? I bowed my head even lower. My parents didn't allow me to date when I was in college. He chuckled, "What a good boy." Minor collision up front has been cleared. Traffic restored, cars continue running. He didn't say anything more, just that the car's speed was clearly much faster than before. At my request, the car stopped in front of a high-end tea shop. I carefully chose a tea set from afar, asked the shop owner to wrap it carefully, and then paid. Normally, it's fine, but today is the old man's birthday after all. I can't come empty-handed. When I walked out of the store, Kai-fen Chu was leaning against the car, his arms crossed over his chest, his eyes glancing at the gift box in my hand. He raised his eyebrows slightly, but said nothing, just silently took it and put it in the trunk. 20 minutes later, the car turned onto the main road leading to the old house. Before reaching the gate, from afar, I saw Kai Shuang standing and waving. As soon as I got out of the car, I was immediately hugged tightly in a bear hug. Then, right after that, he frowned at the mask I was wearing. Dissatisfied, it reached out and jerked it down. "What are you wearing this for?" I awkwardly touched my face, not knowing how to explain. I should say that I accidentally sent the photo of a male model taking a bath to his uncle, and he doesn't know what happened? Sent me hundreds of steamy photos of myself in the middle of the night? Just thinking about those scream-inducing HD photos makes my face heat up. I touched my neck and smiled wryly. Kai Shuang looked at me with wide eyes full of doubt. Before I could say anything, Kai-fen Chu opened the trunk, took out the tea box, and gave it to me. Then he glanced at Kai Shang, his tone displeased. "We see each other at school every day. What are we hugging?" Kai Shuang. It turned to look at me. "Did you make him angry?" I stood up straight in confusion, then shook my head vigorously. "Who dares?" But why does that tone sound a bit like scorn? Am I hearing things? Following Kai Shang inside, Kai-fen Chu sat down on the sofa, his expression as serious as usual, still with a noble and distant appearance that made people not dare to approach. I walked over, holding out the gift box with both hands. "Grandpa, this is my little token of appreciation, wishing you a long life like the East Sea and a long life like the South Mountain." The old man sat on the sofa, wearing a gray suit. His hair was a big gray, but his mind was still very clear. Seeing the gift, Kai Shuang's eyes were both happy and a bit reproachful. He said, "Just come and eat." Kai Shuang pouted, turned to look at me, his face extremely wronged. I hurriedly said, "Grandpa Ji, it's not Shuang's fault. I wanted to buy it myself. I'm all alone in Yandu. Luckily, you're taking care of me. Today is your birthday. How can I come empty-handed? Isn't that good?" The old man didn't seem to want me to be embarrassed, so he didn't refuse anymore, just told the housekeeper to put the gift away in the study. "It's just a family meal, no need to be so polite. The Ji family has many people, but each person has their own place. Thanks to you often following Shuang home to play, the atmosphere in the house is less cold. I already consider you as my own granddaughter. Don't be so polite. Sit down." The two words, granddaughter, made my heart even more confused. Grandpa Ji sees me as his granddaughter, then Ji Yunshu, besides seeing me as his granddaughter or granddaughter-in-law, what other choice does he have? After all, when I met him, I was only 18 years old and he was already 26. I secretly glanced at Ji Yunshu's calm face. Unexpectedly, he also happened to look at me. He slowly said, "Dad, you have 5 granddaughters? Isn't that enough? What do you need so many granddaughters for?" This sentence seemed to make the old man suddenly remember something. His eyes immediately lit up and turned to look at me. "That's right, Meng Meng. I don't lack granddaughters, but I don't have a daughter-in-law. Why don't you be my daughter-in-law?" I coughed. Before I could react, a loud cough sounded in my ear. Ji Yunshu put down his teacup, his face red from choking on water. Can you imagine? A person who was always noble and perfect now had a red face from choking on tea? At that moment, I suddenly felt that he wasn't as unreachable as I thought. He also made mistakes and was confused like a normal person. The old man glared at him and then turned to me with a smile. "How about it? Do you want to think about it?" Kai Shuang immediately joined in. Okay. If you become my sister-in-law or my sister-in-law, I will protect you. Whoever dares to bully you, I will beat them up. As soon as he finished speaking, a pillow flew over. Kai Shuang quickly caught it. I looked in the direction the pillow was thrown and saw that the person's eyes had returned to their usual calm, only his voice was a bit jealous of unclear. Everything has a face. Don't pair up randomly. Thanks to Kai Fen Shu's interruption, the story finally ended, but it seemed the old man still refused to give up. During the meal, he kept asking questions. From my story to Kai Fen Shu's story, I'm all grown up now. When are you going to bring your wife home? Kai Fen Shu looked at me, the corner of his lips curled up, revealing a carefree smile. If your dad finds someone, I'm afraid he won't agree. In my heart, there is a little rabbit jumping around. Why did he look at me when he said that? Grandfather snorted. As long as you don't bring men here, I agree with everything. Kai Duangfuk laughed out loud. I also stiffened, my face flushed. Suddenly, remembering what Kai Shuang had once said, in the upper class, there was a rumor that Kai Fen Shu did not get close to women because he liked men. 1 meal, 4 people, each with their own thoughts. Kai Duang was afraid of being lectured by his uncle, so he made an excuse to stay at the old house and talk with his grandfather. I just got a call from the dean. There's a seminar tomorrow morning. I have to be there early, so I have to go back to school right away. Kai Shuang studies in the same faculty as me, but she is not interested in the meditation sessions. I could have made it back to the dormitory before the curfew, but it started to rain like a statophore. The roads are bad, cars have to drive slowly to ensure safety. When we arrived in the city, it was long past curfew. I'm in a dilemma. Come to my house. Tomorrow, I wait for you to go to school. Honestly, my heart was a little excited, but my mouth still pretended to refuse. That doesn't sound right. Kai Fen Shu didn't bother to listen. He turned the wheel and drove straight to his apartment. What's wrong? I've been there before. I bowed my head and tightened my shirt. This damned guy, talking like that and using such an ambiguous tone and eyes. The sound of rain falling on the car window echoed in my heart. Anxiety disorder. I'm about to graduate. If returning to Lokting there is no special reason, maybe I will never return to Yen in this life. I tilted my head slightly to peek at him, but I don't know how to tell someone who always sees me as a junior that I have liked him for a long time. Looking at Kai Fen Shu's calm and indifferent face, I suddenly remembered the time I went to the haunted house with Kai Shuang. I accidentally saw him standing in a hidden corner of the hallway. Not kidding, a woman with a hot figure? My heart is broken. I looked down at my bust. Isn't it true that nothing is so flat that it still can't catch your eye? I asked Kai Shuang frustratedly. Do all men like women with offensive breasts and defensive butts, bright red lips, curly hair, perfect curves, breathtakingly sexy, not like me? Bland, simple, no charm at all. People glanced at him and thought he was underage. Kai Shuang is a carefree person. Unfortunately, he noticed the slight bitterness in my voice and even nudged me lightly and glanced meaningfully at my chest. You're not that flat. You still have flesh and blood and fell out of the bar. My heart as sour as stuffed with a basket of paintings. A mature man, a charming woman, in a dimly lit, heavily boozed environment, it goes without saying what can happen. I'm just someone who secretly likes you. I don't even have the right to be jealous. All my emotions were both bland and ridiculous. When I arrived at Kai Fen Shu's apartment, I stood in front of the door, not knowing whether I should go in or not. He turned his head to look at me, without saying a word, took my hand, scanned my fingerprint to open the door, and pulled me inside. It's late. Go wash your face, go to bed early. Then, little uncle, go to bed early too. Good night. I quietly turned around and returned to my room. This apartment had 3 bedrooms, each with its own bathroom, so I didn't have to worry about any awkward situations. but when I changed, I saw the bloodstains on my underwear and my whole body immediately stiffened. Oh no, the last sanitary napkin in the house had been used by Ji-chong. This spoiled brat always forgot to prepare it in advance, and after using it, he didn't bother to buy another one. I quickly changed into a black outfit and quietly opened the door. The living room was dark. It seemed like Ji Eun-jo was already asleep. I let out a sigh of relief and carefully walked out. As soon as I reached the entrance, click, the lights in the living room turned on completely. I was so panicked that my head started to go numb. I clenched my fists, closed my eyes, and tried to calm down. Man, it's so late. Where are you going? I forced myself to keep my voice as calm as possible. I went to the convenience store downstairs to buy some things. I turned my back to him and didn't dare to look straight, but I could clearly feel him approaching. When he stood in front of me, he was still wearing the suit from last night. Only his tie was loosened and his shirt buttons were 2 buttons undone. His breath was mixed with a faint smell of alcohol. He had been drinking. His appearance at this moment was inexplicably seductive. In my mind, blurry images suddenly appeared, both denying and tacitly accepting. I cursed myself for being a womanizer. At this point, how could you still have the mood to think about such things? It's late. It's not safe for you to go downstairs alone. Go to the waiting room. I'll go buy it for you. I immediately raised my head in panic. You know what I'm going to buy? Before I could say anything, he had already buttoned up his shirt, adjusted his clothes, and the lazy and seductive appearance just now disappeared, replaced by the appearance of a standard, neat CEO. As usual, I stood there watching his back as he walked out the door. My heart was so confused that I stood still for a minute. Although I have been to his house many times over the years, the number of times I have met him can be counted on one hand, but I seem to have experienced all the embarrassing things that could happen in front of you. I went back into the room, not daring to sit down, just daring to lean against the door, picked up the phone, banged on the table, and typed furiously, a little angry with my damn friend. As soon as he finished telling the story, Ki-sung immediately burst out laughing mercilessly, then sent a sticker of him rolling around in laughter, and finally added a careless sentence of comfort. It's okay, he's my uncle, I'm your uncle too. Very normal, very normal. I stick her holding knife 2 meters. She put her hands up in surrender with a long string of haha. I threw the phone on the bed in frustration. At the same time, knock, knock, knock. The knock on the door made my heart jump. Take a few deep breaths before daring to open the door a little. Little boy. He reached out and handed me the black bag in his hand. I stiffly accepted. Thank. Then immediately slammed the door shut as if a basketful of bitter liquid was stuffed into his mouth. Hug the bag and run straight to the bathroom. Open the bag and look inside. I want to disappear forever. He even buys disposable underwear. Seeing the warm fried food, the shy feeling in me gradually turned into shame and emotion. Such a thoughtful man. In the end, which girl will become his husband? I closed my eyes and turned on the shower. The warm water pouring down, washing away all the chaotic thoughts in my head. But that night, I couldn't sleep at all. The next morning, when preparing to go out, Ki Vin-ju slightly bent down and carefully observed me for a while. Did you cry last night? Eyes red like a rabbit? I was startled and quickly denied. No, it's just that I've been using my eyes too much these past few days, so I'm a bit tired. Lying is not good. His voice is low and seductive. I was lost again, but the 2 childish words that came out of his mouth stabbed straight into the deepest pain in my heart. In your eyes, I am just a child. The car stopped in front of the hotel. I was about to open the car door, but he stopped me. He opened the car trunk, took out an exquisitely wrapped gift box, and handed it to me. Graduation fruit. I hesitated whether to accept or not. Uncle, but I haven't graduated yet. I have to go abroad tomorrow. I'm gone for 3 months, and I can't give it back to you when I come back. I'm afraid you'll cry. This sentence made me suddenly remember. Summer of freshman year of college, he gave Ki-sung a birthday present. That day, I was in so much pain that I was on the verge of tears. Ki-sung was afraid that I would be embarrassed, so he lied that he and I had the same birthday, but his parents weren't around and no one gave him a present, so he felt sorry and cried. From that day on, no matter what holiday it was, as long as he gave Ki-sung a gift, I always got a share. "Uncle, that was just a joke. I'm not crying because there is no fruit." He glanced at me, his eyes skimming over the short skirt I was wearing. The tone is soft and gentle, to the point of melting people. The weather in Yendo is unpredictable. If you know your period will hurt, don't wear such short skirts. Must know how to take care of yourself, keep your body warm. At that moment, I felt like a small hammer was hitting the back of my neck. Suddenly don't know whether to feel more embarrassed or more touched. I blushed and took the box of fruit, muttering, "Thank you." At that moment, all the blood rushed to my brain. I didn't know where to get the courage. I accidentally said, "Ki-van-ku, I'm 22 years old. I'm not a child anymore." After saying that, I didn't dare to look at his face. Quickly opened the door and got out of the car, almost running straight into the hotel. I thought he had left, but when I turned around, I saw him roll down the window and look at me. He raised the phone, shook it slightly, and then my phone rang with a new message notification. I opened WeChat. Below the steamy photo series from yesterday was a new message from him. "Waiting for you to come home." I was stunned, surprised, and confused. Instinctively, I looked up at him, but the window had already been rolled up, and the car had gradually moved out of my sight. I found a shady corner, opened the fan box. Inside was a platinum bracelet with violet stones sparkling in the light. My mind began to wander, thinking about the meaning of violets while telling myself not to think too much. The phone rang. I picked up. Soon. I just arrived at the hotel and can't find the meeting room yet." "Good to come." "Oh, did my uncle tell you he was going abroad?" I blinked. "Oh, I told you. What's up?" From the phone speaker, Chi-sung's excited voice rang out. "He was gone for 3 months, so I'm finally free. No one controls me anymore." "So cool." I laughed helplessly. "Congratulations." I'm in the elevator. "The professor just texted me the meeting place is on the 10th floor. Talk to you later." The 2-hour discussion on jewelry design philosophy. When I stood up, my legs gradually went numb. I no longer felt the cold air conditioning making me shiver, and my lower abdomen also began to contract and ache. Only then did I remember what Ki-van-ju told me. He was right. He knew that being cold would make the pain worse, but he still tried to wear a short skirt because he wanted to look good. Serves me right. 3 months is not too long, not too short. I was busy with my graduation project and looking for an internship, so I didn't have much time to think about Ki-van-ju. But whenever I have free time, my heart feels strangely empty. In the end, I still can't decide whether I should return to Lukshung or stay in Yendo. The last semester of 4th year of college passed. Everyone was busy preparing for their future. In the dormitory, all my roommates went back to their hometowns, leaving only me and Ki-sung. The two looked at each other, eyes blinking. Suddenly, there was a loud noise outside. Ki-sung was excited and quickly put on his slippers, ran out to the balcony to gossip. Less than 3 seconds later, it turned back around and waved cheerfully at me. Mang, come out here. Someone is confessing." Hearing that, I was also curious, stood up and walked out. Leaning on the railing looking down, in the yard in front of the dormitory, someone had arranged white candles into a giant heart shape. In the middle of the night, the flickering candlelight is admittedly very beautiful. A young man stood right in the center, wearing a white shirt, white pants, carrying a guitar on his shoulder, and a microphone in front of him. He wore black-rimmed glasses, had a delicate face, was a bit shy, and sang a reluctant love song while playing the guitar. The clear voice carries the sincerity of a young man. Each word is filled with emotion. Many female students standing watching were moved to tears. When the song ended, he spread his arms wide, raised his head, and shouted, "Classmate Shen Ming, I like you. Be my girlfriend." Immediately, the crowd roared, "Agree, agree, agree." Even Ki Duong joined in, raising his phone to record a video. As the one being confessed to, if I don't show up, the other person will be very embarrassed. So I went downstairs. Under the gazes of dozens of people, I stood in front of that guy, trying to keep my voice gentle and softly thank him for liking me. But I'm really sorry. I already have someone I like. The young man's face turned red, but he still continued to speak firmly. I know I'm nothing special, but if I don't say it today, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. It took all my courage to stand here. I hope I don't make you feel awkward. I shook my head slightly. No, you are very brave. I have a lot to learn from you. He was shaking a little, probably because he was so nervous, but he tried to stay calm. So, can I have a hug? I smiled comfortably and spread my arms wide. He laughed, came over and hugged me, then burst into tears. He wiped his tears and said to me, "Thank you. Thank you for making my youth without regrets. Hope you and the person you love will be happy and fulfilled." I smile. You will meet someone better too. Wishing you a bright future and all the best. Goodbye, Thorman. Goodbye, Thingming. He paused, looking surprised when I knew his name. As if empowered, he hugged his guitar tightly, held his head high, and walked confidently. I looked at the candlelight flickering in the yard, wondering if I should be brave like him, at least not to have any regrets. In the end, I didn't return to Luck then, but moved to Ki Von Chu's apartment in the center, living with Ki Shuan, but I had just moved in not long ago. Ki Shuan was called to Germany by his parents. A cross-continental phone call was enough. Before leaving, he told me over and over again to wait for me to come back and start a business together, not to run away before that. 3 months and 15 days after Ki Von Chu left Yen Ao, he suddenly pushed open the apartment door and entered. At that time, I was curled up on the sofa, holding my iPad drawing designs. Hearing the door open, I looked up reflexively. Just a second later, I met eyes with those deep peach blossom eyes. The moment he saw me, his eyes flashed with surprise and then turned to joy. Finally, a sigh of relief. He walked step by step towards me. I reflexively stood up, hugged my chest, and turned around. Ki Von Chu, what? Why did you come back so suddenly? The footsteps got closer and closer. I was so scared that I wanted to run. I'll go upstairs and change first. Why change clothes? I was wearing a loose white hoodie, completely normal and modest. It's okay to wear this out, there's nothing wrong with it. But the problem is, I'm not wearing a bra. I just want to crawl into the ground right now. Ki Von Chu walked in front of me, saw my embarrassed appearance of hugging my chest. His eyes flashed with thought, then sighed softly, looking away. Okay, go change. I bowed my head, quickly ran into the room, locked the door, laid face down on the bed, held my head. My heart completely collapsed. It took me a whole hour to put on my bra, compose myself, and then step outside. Ki Von Chu had finished bathing. His hair was still damp, not as neat as usual. Her hair fell down, partially covering her thick eyebrows. Even his deep peach blossom eyes were partially obscured, but the mole under his eye was more obvious than ever. He wore a black silk nightgown, the straps loosely tied around his waist, revealing half of his chest. Below the clear collarbone are firm, toned chest muscles. He held a glass of wine in his hand, the red liquid shimmering with every gentle movement. His whole body leaned against the bar. His lazy appearance was breathtakingly seductive. The moment I walked out the door, he looked up and waved at me. I froze for a few seconds, then stiffly walked over. Fingers unconsciously clenched, not daring to raise head. Little Uncle, you just called me by my name. Why is it Little Uncle now? My salary immediately tensed. My whole body felt like it was shocked by an electric current. Reflexively stand up straight. Ki Shuang said someone confessed to me at school. You agree? I looked up at him in confusion. No. If you don't agree, why are you still hugging him? I blinked and realized it immediately. It turns out that Ki Shuang already sent that video to him. Because she filmed from above, the sound was not clear in Ki Von Chu's eyes. That scene was the male student confessing love to me, and we both hugged. I quickly explained, I rejected him. He only asked for a hug, and I didn't want to hurt him, so Before I could finish my sentence, he put down his wine glass, then suddenly pulled me into his arms. His whole body still had a faint and elegant scent of magnolia. He was so tall that I could only reach his chest, so I could clearly hear his heartbeat. But that heartbeat seemed a bit chaotic. I was held so tightly that I could barely breathe, struggling, barely able to utter a sentence. "Little uncle, are you trying to suffocate me?" "Sorry." He let me go. I gasped and looked at him. "Uncle, are you in a bad mood? Is there a problem with work?" I thought of many possibilities, but I didn't dare to think if it was because he knew someone confessed to me that he was like that. Kivenchu did not answer my questions, but instead asked, "Graduation fruit? Do you like it?" I nodded. "I like the gifts my uncle gives me. I always like them." "What about the internship? Have you decided to go to Luck Then or stay in Yen?" I bowed my head. I received invitations from 3 jewelry companies, but still hadn't decided which one to choose. I glanced at him secretly. But just looking at it for a second, I quickly looked away, afraid if I look any longer, I will drown in his deep peach blossom eyes. "Didn't receive an invitation from the Key Sheathy group?" I bit my lip. Yes, received. So what else to think? I clenched my sleeves, my voice small and nasal. "I'm afraid people will say I went through the back door. After all, you are Susung's uncle." In the end, I still chose to work at Keytree for no other reason than to be a little closer to him. But just 1 week into my job, I heard a shocking rumor. Ki Von-chu is about to get engaged. The bride is the daughter of the Tan family, Tan Gao. I heard she is an excellent international student specializing in venture capital, not only has her own company, but is also the person that rich ladies compete to hire as a financial advisor. I met her at a high school company, perfect figure, strong temperament, confident and attractive. Just one look was enough to create invisible pressure. That day, Ki Bun-chu's assistant had asked for urgent leave due to family matters. I, the intern who was temporarily assigned to replace the position, came into the office to deliver coffee. When he turned to go out, Tang Gao deliberately stood up and bumped into me. The coffee cup was knocked over. She was fine, but the whole cup of hot coffee poured straight onto my hand. Immediately, a red blister appeared on the skin. She spoke first and looked like she was being victimized. "Do you want to burn me to death?" Without hesitation, Ki Bun-chu grabbed my hand and pulled me straight into the office break room. In the bathroom, he turned on the faucet and held my hand under the cold water. The cold water flowed over the burned skin. The intense burning pain instantly subsided. My hand was held tightly by him. The burning pain made my eyes red. My voice choked. "General Manager, am I very clumsy? I can't even serve tea or pour water." Holding my hand through my tears, he gently reassured me. "It's not your fault. She stood up and bumped into you on purpose." The cold water continued for a half hour until he pulled me down and carefully dried each finger with a towel. Just then, his personal assistant came in with burn medicine. I reflexively pulled my hand back when I saw him about to apply the medicine, but he still held it back. "Don't move. If you don't apply medicine, it will blister and leave scars." Quen Zhao's disgusted voice rang out from the door. "Is just an intern worth your attention? Mr. Kai, is it possible that your taste is special and you like this kind of boring little white rabbit?" Ki Yun-chu's action of applying the medicine paused for a moment. Then his voice was calm but cold as he reminded her, "President Kim, we haven't signed a cooperation contract yet. I can change my mind at any time, especially after witnessing you deliberately making things difficult for my assistant. I think I need to reconsider." Quen Zhao's expression immediately changed. "Qui Van-chu, don't forget our 2 families are family friends." He looked up, a faint smile flashing across his face. "So what? The Quinn family may be a prestigious family in Yondu, but in my eyes, they are nothing." Mr. Tranthu saw the guests off. He resolutely ordered the people to leave. Tan Sha was so angry that his face was black as if he had been splashed with ink. His high heels stomped hard on the marble floor, making annoying clacking sounds. She left angrily. I was still shocked. I asked CEO Ki in a low voice, "Aren't you and her about to get engaged? Why do I feel like you don't like her at all?" He did not raise his head, continued to apply the medicine, his voice as light as a breeze. "If I get engaged to someone else, will Mom be sad?" I was startled, reflexively pulled my hand back, but he held it tight. Don't move. Answer my question. He didn't look at me, just used his fingertips to gently spread the medicine evenly on the burned skin. His movements were so gentle that it made my heart flutter. My eyes were red and my voice choked. Little uncle, my hand hurts so much. The more I talked, the more I felt wronged. Tears kept falling. In the end, I cried so much that my nose was runny, and my tears and snot were all over his expensive suit. Cry until you're done. Still sniffling. He pulled out a tissue, gently wiped my face, then suddenly lowered his voice and asked, "Are you crying because your hand hurts, or because I'm about to get engaged to someone else?" I was so shocked that I stopped crying. Because I cried for so long, my eyes were swollen, making his image in my eyes blurry. "Little uncle." He sighed, raised his hand, and gently stroked my head. "Mon, I'm only 8 years older than you. Why do you always call me uncle?" I lowered my head. Leany replied, "Damn, because I am Chai Chang's little uncle. So if I give up that title, what do you see me as?" I honestly answered, "If I wasn't Chai Chang's little uncle, you basically wouldn't have the chance to know me." "Ah." I opened my eyes wide. He leaned down to kiss me, his warm lips with a bit of force pressed down on mine. I panicked and wanted to avoid him, but his big hand held the back of my neck. That kiss was long and gentle, but also carried a bit of domineering. I gradually forgot that I should refuse, even clumsily responding to him. Just when I was about to run out of breath, he finally let go. His hand was still on the back of my neck, his nose touching mine. His breathing was rapid, his voice hoarse. "What now? What do you think I am now?" My face was red as a beetroot. I quickly pushed him away, turned my head to avoid him. Men. I clenched my fists and softly said, "General Manager Key, do you treat other assistants like this?" He suddenly grabbed my shoulder, turning me around to face him. "The Ming, what kind of person do you think I am?" I already had the answer in my heart, but I wasn't sure. "When I'm like this, can you understand that I like you?" He paused for a moment and then lowered his voice, a little disappointed. "I thought I had made it clear. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you always call me uncle. Because every time you face me, you carefully keep your distance. Because I'm so much older than you, I'm afraid you'll see that I'm fake." His eyes stopped on my lips, deep and black. He leaned down to kiss me again. Ring. The phone rang. I jumped, quickly picked it up, and pressed answer. "Misty." A questioning voice came from the other end of the line. "What's wrong with your voice? Just cried? Did my uncle scold you?" "No?" Ki-Wen-Chu's lips pressed against my neck. I couldn't help but let out a soft moan. Reflexively, I clenched my phone and gritted my teeth. Ki-Shang completely didn't notice anything unusual. "I just landed. Let's go drink some milk tea. I miss you so much." His lips continued to glide over my neck. His hot breath touched my skin. I bit my lip, trying to restrain myself from making that embarrassing sound. "Okay, I will be there right away." As soon as I finished speaking, I'd quickly hung up. Ki-Wen-Chu deliberately teased me and only stopped when I hung up completely. His eyes were full of teasing and he laughed happily at my distressed appearance. I was so embarrassed that I just wanted to bury myself. My legs unconsciously dug into the floor and pushed him away angrily. He didn't resist, but instead smiled and leaned back against the sofa. "Ji-Yun-Chu, you're a hooligan." After I finished speaking, I grabbed his hand, bit hard on his palm, and stood up. I was injured at work and asked for paid leave. "Goodbye." As soon as I turned around, he pulled me into his embrace from behind. He was tall, and in the blink of an eye, I was surrounded by his arms. His warm breath slowly glided over my ear. Hushed voice, "Turns out the little rabbit is angry. Really knows how to bite people, huh?" I used myself. The itchy feeling spread all over my body, but he still didn't stop. "Don't you like looking at abs? Can I see you tonight?" My face suddenly reddened and my breathing became irregular. "Ji-Yun-Chu, you play Anjin." He smiled softly. "You don't like it?" I couldn't stand it anymore. I used all my strength to escape from his arms and ran away. As soon as I arrived at the milk tea shop, I was hugged tightly in a bear hug by Ki-Shang. Then she grabbed my hand. I was in so much pain that I groaned. She let go, startled, and looked at my red hand in surprise. "Are you burned?" I nodded. "Today, the Miss Tan Kim of the Tan family came to see you.
I brought coffee. She suddenly stood up and spilled a cup of hot coffee on my hand. Keishang was startled and immediately held my hand and blew on it, saying why my eyes were so red and swollen. This frequency is too much. Because she wanted to cooperate with the Kishi group, she even deliberately leaked information to the media so they would publish an article about her engagement to my uncle. Now she bullies you again. See how I deal with her. Kyu-jun flew into a rage and immediately rolled up his sleeves and went to find the person causing the trouble. I quickly held it back. You just go straight to her like that, she won't even pay attention. So I told my uncle not to cooperate with her anymore. I bowed my head in silence. Maybe this cooperation was never meant to be. Don't worry about your business anymore. Let's drink milk tea. Tell me what you did in Germany. Kyu-jun is a hot-tempered person but forgetful. Emotions come and go quickly. Changing the subject, he immediately excitedly began to talk about his experiences in Germany. Is the little princess of the Kishi group. Even if he doesn't need to do anything for the rest of his life, just receiving dividends will make him rich. But he was not content with his lot, determined to start a business, wanting to earn his own place in front of his parents and brother. He has family here, has a solid support. Even if he fails, it doesn't matter because there is still people to support him. Leaving the milk tea shop, Kyu-jun suddenly asked me, "Are you living with my uncle?" Hearing this, I felt mixed emotions and didn't know what to say. You use words so carelessly. It's obvious that you told me to move here and then you left me there alone and ran to Germany. Ki-chang forced a smile. It's okay, my uncle is a gentleman, and also an elder. He won't do anything to you. I'm a gentleman, an elder. Has anyone ever seen an elder intentionally whispering in his niece's ear right when she's talking on the phone with her best friend? I looked at Ki-jun, shook my head, and sympathetically sighed. Ki-shang was confused. What's wrong with you? That evening, Ki-wan-chu returned to the apartment. As soon as he saw Ki-jun, he frowned slightly.
Originally a carefree and insensitive person, but this time Ki-seong immediately recognized that small expression. Uncle, don't you welcome me here? Ki-wan-chu glanced at me, his eyes full of unpredictable meaning. He took off his shoes and asked back, Where did you see that? Ki-young-nango blinked at me doubtfully. Right, Mon-mon? Can you feel it? Like he's really upset, like I'm interrupting something important. I chuckled to myself. Yes, you really ruined a big deal. Do you know your little uncle was planning to take off his shirt to show me his abs? But I couldn't say it, so I had to hold back my laughter until my stomach hurt. Perhaps because he realized the strange atmosphere between the two uncle and nephew. The whole evening, Ki-seong clung to me and even wanted to sleep in the same bed with me. The reason? I'm afraid my uncle will kick me out of the house in the middle of the night. I almost laughed until my insides hurt, and he said this right in front of Ki-wan-chu. You can imagine how dark his face was. Because of the time difference, Ki-seong couldn't sleep, so he dragged me to watch horror movies. I don't know how soundproof this apartment is, but I know that the room constantly echoes with its ear-piercing screams. I was so sleepy that I couldn't stand it anymore, so I ran back to my room. As soon as I entered, I was immediately pulled into Ki-wan-chu's arms and pressed against the door. Before I could react, his lips were on me, kissing me wildly and domineeringly. Hot breath, passionate kiss, as if wanting to swallow me whole. Only when I felt the change in his body did he gently remove his lips to rest his forehead on mine, breathing heavily. Ki-wan-chu, you're crazy. What if Ki-seong comes to find me? His peach blossom eyes flashed with desire. His voice was low, as if there was a fire burning in the depths of his eyes. What's wrong? My girlfriend isn't going to reveal me? I was stunned. Who? Who said I was your girlfriend? His slender fingers gently stroked my lips, his eyes ambiguous and indecent. I don't want to be a girlfriend. How about being a wife? I have not had time to answer yet. Knock, knock, knock. The sound of knocking on the door rang out. Outside, the strange voice rang out excitedly. Mon, are you asleep yet? Come out here and talk to me for a moment. I was about to reply when my lips were immediately covered. He did it on purpose, clearly on purpose. The kiss was no longer as urgent as before, but became extremely lingering and entangled. My whole body was weak, and I could only cling to him to stand firm. I bit my lips tightly, trying to suppress the embarrassing moans. Ki-seong also said that he was a gentleman in his head. This was truly a wild wolf that had been restrained for too long. I didn't know how much time had passed, but there was no more sound of Ki-seong outside. Immediately after, click, the door was locked. I was kissed until my head was spinning, completely losing the concept of time and space. Only when my entire back touched the soft mattress did I suddenly wake up, my eyes wide open, and I immediately grabbed the hand that was messing around on my body. Ki-von-chu, no! He grabbed my hand, pulling it down from my chest to below. His lips were still pressed against my ear. His breath hot. If you won't give it to me, can you help me in another way? How can I help? Mon, hold it for him. That night, my hands were almost torn apart, but he was still not satisfied. He kept repeating it over and over again. I both wanted to cry and felt deeply moved in my heart. Men are forbidden to urge for too long. It's really scary. The next morning, I was awakened by Ki Chang's knock on the door. Instinctively, turned his head to look to the side. No one. I put my hand on my chest and breathed a sigh of relief. Reached out to brush my hair, but as soon as I lifted it up, I felt exhausted. I couldn't even look at my hands. God only knew what they had been through last night. I closed my eyes, let us stepped out to open the door. Ki-seong opened his mouth to speak. Clank. The bathroom door behind me suddenly opened and a wet Ki-von-chu appeared right in front of me and Ki-chong. A shrill scream almost pierced my ears. Instinctively, I covered my ears, my face full of guilt. 10 minutes later, we were sitting neatly on the sofa in the living room, being seriously questioned by the engineer. Little uncle, you have no conscience. Fortunately, you consider yourself an elder, yet you have impure thoughts towards her. I secretly pulled on Ki-seong's shirt and softly explained, we're not what you think. You two have slept in the same bed and you still want to lie to me? Shut up, I'll settle the score with you later. Ki-von-chu sat there calmly, completely different from my guilty expression. He looked at Ki-seong calmly, his voice extremely reasonable. Ki-seong, don't scare your future sister-in-law. Ki-seong held his ears and went crazy. Now the 3 words future sister-in-law are extremely sensitive to him, not pleasant to hear. But Ki-von-chu deliberately forced it to accept the truth. I am your uncle, 30 years old this year. Do you expect me to be single all my life but still can't find your best friend? She is 8 years younger than him. I just need to think about when you met her. She was only 18 and you were 26. I can't accept this relationship that goes beyond moral boundaries. I coughed softly, feeling that I had to regain justice for my silent love of many years. Roughly speaking, there is no moral problem between you and me. You think too much, but you still call him uncle. Ki-seong stared as if he couldn't believe what I just said. Didn't you call first? Besides, he is not my uncle. Being tricked by its sharp blow, I reflexively shrunk back and hid close to Ki-von-chu. He interrupted Ki-seong's outburst. If you continue to cause trouble, I will send you back to Liduc immediately. A sentence that hits the nail on the head. He did not want to go abroad, so he decided to start a business to have a reason for Hong to stay in the country. So he immediately gave up, sighed, and I wish you two will soon have a son. After saying that, he escaped immediately. Before I could breathe a sigh of relief, Ki-von-chu had already approached. Mon, when will I meet your parents? I rolled my eyes. What? You want to meet my parents even though you haven't officially dated yet? Are you dreaming? So beautiful, surely there are many people pursuing her. If I don't quickly confirm my identity and miss you, who will I cry to if you were stolen? I was both angry and amused. I reached out to hold his face, gently squeezing both cheeks. Ki-von-chu, why didn't I realize before that you were such a shameless person? He smiled without any shame. How can you get married without being shameless? I squinted at him and lowered my voice. Then tell me, when did you start liking me? He didn't hesitate. The first day you entered university, that collision stabbed straight into my heart. Later, when I found out you were Ki Chang's best friend, I was so happy I couldn't sleep all night. So for the past few years, every gift you gave me wasn't something I bought casually, but something I sincerely chose. For the past few years, I've been waiting for you to grow up, always secretly asking about you, afraid that one day you'd have a boyfriend. I blinked, suddenly remembered something, and immediately refuted. No, I clearly saw you at a nightclub flirting with a girl once. Ki-von-chu pinched my nose lightly and smiled faintly. Are you sure I'm flirting with her and not her harassing me? I felt guilty, touched my nose, and forced a smile. How about it? Want to date me? I did not hesitate. I put my arms around his neck. Want? Ki Von Chu, actually that collision that year also stabbed straight into my heart. I've always waited for myself to grow up, to wait until I'm qualified enough to stand by your side and return to the Ki family villa. Old Master Ki looked at me with an undescribable look. He had obviously heard Ki Seong tell me everything about me not being his granddaughter-in-law anymore, but maybe even becoming his daughter-in-law. He pointed straight at Ki Von Chu's face, gritting his teeth. Mon is so much smaller than you. Why did you do it? Jin-Zu replied seriously. Unmarried man, unmarried woman, she is an adult, I did not commit any crime. 3 months after officially dating, I brought Ki Yan-Chu back to Lucheng to meet my parents. I did not expect that in Yondu, just sitting down, I would scare a bunch of people. When facing my parents and brother, I was so nervous that my palms sweated and my speech was faltering and stuttering. Mom pulled me into the room, leaving Chai Van-Chu alone to fight with my father and brother. I asked worriedly, Mom, you and Dad don't like him? Mom took my hand and gently touched my cheek. I still clearly remember the image of my newborn baby. In the blink of an eye, she was old enough to bring a boyfriend home. Ji Van-Chu's name is not only famous in Yendo, but also everyone in Lok Tang knows. The age gap between the two of you is quite large. I'm afraid it's just a whim of his. I leaned my head on my mother's shoulder and said softly, Mom, no, I have known him for 4 years. He's a principled person and doesn't have any affairs. He's someone I can trust. Mom, you're scolding me. You're not married yet and you're already defending him. We've only been dating for 3 months and you're already eager to bring him home to meet your parents? Is it because we're not married yet? We haven't done it yet. I blushed. Mom looked at me and finally breathed a sigh of relief. She patted my shoulder and slowly said, Mom is not the type to scare people. Even so, I don't blame you. Mom just wants to remind you before you really decide to go with it for the rest of your life. Protect yourself. If something unexpected happens, don't hide it from Mom, okay? I pursed my lips and snuggled into Mom's arms. I softly said, yes. Our flight landed in Yando at 10 that night. All the way, Chi Van-Chu laughed so hard that his face was about to crack. As soon as we got back to the apartment, he immediately hugged me tightly. Meng, I'm really happy. I chuckled, wrapping my arms around his waist. Chi Van-Chu, I want to see my abs, I said meaningfully. His eyes flashed with surprise. Then he picked me up and strode toward the bathroom. Take a shower, I'll show you until I'm bored. That year, I simply loved those eyes. Later, I began to like his smile. When I first liked you, I thought just being near you was enough. It's okay if I never confess my love. But then when I saw him surrounded by excellent women, I felt so uncomfortable that I couldn't breathe. It turns out that people are really greedy. Get one will want another, but luckily, our feelings are mutual. Thinking back to the past few years, he was also a secret lover like me. The feelings I have, you have experienced too. Just thinking about it, my heart suddenly feels more balanced. Now I often wonder if I had been braver sooner, maybe it wouldn't have been a waste of so many years. But perhaps this silent love blossoming right this summer is the best time. In the bathroom, it took me an hour to prepare myself mentally. The steam covered the mirror, the heat was so hot that my face was red. I even had a little difficulty breathing. Finally, I opened the door and stepped out. I've always been cautious and reserved in front of him, but today I'm especially bold. I climbed straight onto the bed, sat firmly on his waist, pressed my ear to his chest, listening to his strong yet slightly erratic heartbeat. Chi Van-Chu, are you ready? He held my waist with one hand and pulled open the nightstand drawer with the other. Inside was filled with colorful little boxes. I instantly blushed as things reached a climax. His voice was low and husky in my ear. Meng, are you sure? I propped myself up on my hands, kissed his cheek lightly, then bit my lip and looked straight into his eyes. He couldn't hold himself back any longer. The last layer of clothing was torn off, and my whole body was hugged tightly by him into his strong chest.